Very good. I will call the meeting to order at 1:32. We do have a quorum. Let's go around inside the room and do introductions, and then Jared, I'll have you help me go through the external ones. Victoria Chavez, El Paso County.
Todd Frisbee, City of Colorado Springs.
Scott Skinner, Transit Liaison, Region 2, CDOT.
Good afternoon, everyone. Lindsay Hawkes, CDOT Region 2 Planning.
Howdy, Jeff Guthrie, CDOT Region 2 Planner.
Good afternoon, Lachelle Davis, CDOT Region 2 Local Agency, and I also brought our new local agency project manager, Michael Vigil.
Mike Vigil, nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
John Lee Usatos, PPACG staff.
Josh Squires, PPACG staff.
Lisa Gagnon, Transit Planner, PPACG.
And it does not look like we have anybody in the audience. So Jared, if you could help me go through online.
Alrighty, Madam Chair, we've got quite a few in terms of members. We'll start with Andrew Archuleta.
Andrew Archuleta, Assistant Director of Public Works for Town of Oregon.
Aaron from FHWA.
Busto with Federal Highways.
Jacob Matson.
Good afternoon, Jacob Matson with Mountain National Transit.
Jeffrey Manchester.
Jeffrey Manchester, El Paso County.
Kathleen Collins.
Kathleen Collins, CDOT Statewide and Regional Planning.
Lan Rao.
New Lan Rao, Mountain Metro Transit.
Matthew Helfand.
Good afternoon, Matthew Helfand, Mountain Metro Transit.
Scott Barnhart.
Scott Barnhart, El Paso County.
And Stacy DeLozier.
Good afternoon, Stacy DeLozier, Town of Palmer Lake, Public Works.
And Madam Chair, those are all the TAC members, either voting or ex officio.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate that. Do we have any changes to the agenda today? All right, I will take a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Good afternoon, this is Todd. I make a motion to approve the agenda for today.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
This is Lan, a second.
Thank you, Lan. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Do we have any public comments today? No public comments today.
No one's rushing the podium, Madam Chair, and we received none in advance.
Very good. Has everybody had a chance to review the meeting minutes from our September meeting? I'm assuming yes, and I'll take a motion.
Going to be a long meeting, man, if you don't hop on it. It's going to be you and Lan, I think.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Lan. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we will get a Board of Directors report. I'm guessing, John?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
When the Board of Directors met last week on Wednesday, October 8th, they had only one transportation-related item of interest. They approved tip amendment number 6. That was the Monument Mobility Hub. Happy to answer any questions, but that was it. Again, thanks to Scott and Jeff and Josh Palmer from El Paso County who hopped on. I'll get the door. I'll get it for you. So that concludes our report.
Very good. All right, thank you. Action items is Will here, standing behind a podium maybe that I can't see.
Yeah, no, Will's just shutting the door. Apparently there was a little bit of a hubbub out in the lobby. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Will, for doing that. And you're here to talk about Regional Traffic Data Service.
Yes, hello, members of the committee. My name is Will. I'm the GIS and Modeling Manager here at PPACG. And before you is an action item that was carried over from the previous month in regards to allocating funding for our Regional Traffic Data Service, which is currently under contract with Streetlight is the name of the company. Again, as a review, we have
No questions? I will take a motion.
Since the city is funding this, can I make a motion?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve block grant funding for the continuation of Streetlight for another through 2026.
correct. It would be for the calendar year of 2026.
Does anyone like to second that? Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. With that motion in a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Sounds like it passes unanimously. Thank you, Will.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I might, just as a point of order, just so everybody knows, I think in a future agenda item, we're going to talk about the development of, what is it, the 2731 tip or whatever it is. And obviously, when we have the workshop and we are going through, we are going to take that amount of whatever it was, 2601 or whatever, and we will take that off the top in the year 2026, and then we'll have to do the rest of the moving, because again, there is a deficit in the early years and then new funding in the out years. So we will do that, but we will only do it for 1 year. So we will face the same issue again next year, that if you want to do it in 27, just realize the 27 we will have programmed, or unless during that open house where you develop the tip, you say, yeah, let's set some money aside for whatever. Just want to make sure everybody's clear as to the process, and nobody comes back later and says, well, PPACG staff, you didn't tell us we're not going to do this, or we're not going to do that. So I'm just trying to be very transparent as to how we're going to handle it moving forward.
Very good. Thank you for that clarification. Appreciate it.
And I guess I will piggyback on that piggyback.
And you'll be even more transparent.
With one more clarification, again, just so that we are very clear, is that the funding to take, as we're calling it, quote, off the top, would not be specifically for Streetlight. This is not something that's dedicated to a specific vendor or anything else. It would strictly be that there's been enough interest and a positive reception with the idea of, again, trying to use regional funding for something that benefits everybody in the region, especially for smaller governments. So we would just be calling this effectively some kind of like regional data service, really of any kind. And therefore, we would have the flexibility to bring it before TAC on how we might want to use those funds, but we don't have to come back and try and program them every year. That would be the off the top part.
Sounds good. Any questions on that? All right, hearing none, you have your motion and approval. All right, Drive Smart representation. John?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. We had sort of rushed through this at the last meeting. Again, there is a lot of interest for the TAC to participate in the Drive Smart meetings, which are, again, it's not the board meeting itself, which happens once a quarter. This is the monthly Drive Smart meeting where people who are quote unquote boots on the ground get together and chat. And it's one of three meetings. There's the DUI task force that meets, again, not necessarily, it's not part of Drive Smart, but it's has a lot of the same folks. Then there's the Drive Smart Colorado meeting, and then there's Safe Kids that happen afterwards. That Drive Smart meeting, I think rightly so, and Madam Chair, I think this was your idea. You said, hey, there's a lot of connection between the activities that is happening at Drive Smart with the planning that is happening at the jurisdictions, both long-term in terms of safety plans and that sort of thing, as well as in the short term, just sort of knowing what's going on in your jurisdiction. And so we said, hey, that's a great idea. We sent an invitation to everybody on TAC. Because everybody on TAC was on the invitation, it had to be publicly noticed because more than one of you may have showed up. And then once we publicly noticed it, the worms that we will call the spammers showed up and Zoom bombed or team bombed or whatever it was, the meeting. So we said, okay, well, let's take one step back. And instead of sending out the invite to everybody at TAC, it would make more sense, especially since not everyone's really going to come anyway. We're creating a problem that we don't necessarily need to. Why don't we just designate two folks to be representatives? That's less than the quorum for TAC. And then those representatives, then when they would attend the meeting, could just then report back to TAC, even under the jurisdictional announcements, anything that they thought was important. And so I think when we did it rather quickly last time, Todd, you might have been volunteered or voluntold by Gail, so I don't know if she's passed that along to you. So at this point, we're looking for the two quote unquote TAC representatives that will be on the invite list for future Drive Smart meetings. So with that, Todd, I don't know if you want to officially accept or if we can get somebody else as well.
Yes, I'll officially accept. I may designate someone to attend in my place. Also, is it at 9:30 on the first, like the second Tuesdays?
Yes.
Okay. Here in this
very room,
okay.
Using the same very virtual setup.
And
so
you can attend remotely.
You can attend remotely, yes. And then we need one other.
And yes, I would happily accept that. I also would like to know if any other jurisdiction would like to be an alternate in case Todd and or I could not attend. And if there's any interest out there in the online world that might want to do that. Hearing none.
Yeah, I believe that was Jiminy Cricket that sounded in because we just heard crickets.
That is what it sounded like. So as long as Todd and I have the authority to designate to somebody else in our jurisdiction for days that we may not be able to attend, I think we can go ahead and vote on this with Todd and myself being the primary representatives with the ability to send an alternate. And Todd, I'll look to you for a motion.
It looks like, Madam Chair, Nancy Burke unmuted. Okay, never mind.
She's our speaker. She's warming up. She's on the on-deck circle.
And so with that, someone will send out an invitation?
Yes.
Calendar invitation? Yep. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. So I guess the motion is, yes, Todd Frisbee, I'll make a motion that the City of Colorado Springs and El Paso County will provide a representative on the Drive Smart Colorado meetings held every Tuesday, or second Tuesday of every month at 9:30.
Thank you.
Thank you for that motion. Do I have a second?
Bet you it's going to be Lan.
I'm hoping it's going to be Lan or somebody. Lan? I have nobody else here to kick, Lan, so I have to nudge you remotely. So sorry about that. But thank you very much for the motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? All right, that takes us through our painful action items and motions. And we will now move to information items, starting with my computer not working. Starting with safety action plan, Jason.
Good afternoon. So yeah, I'll just give a little refresher on safety action plan just because it's been a couple of months. So this is a comprehensive regional traffic safety plan funded under the federal SS4A program. It's driven by some amazing data and also has a robust stakeholder process. It's a pretty major project. I don't think there's ever been a regional safety plan on this level in the past, so it's kind of something new. The project's been in progress since early this year, led by our FHU consultant team. Colorado Springs and the city of Fountain are doing their own plans under the same program, and we've had coordination meetings with each of them. The city of Woodland Park and PPACG have partnered to provide this type of plan for the remainder of the 3-county region. So sort of everybody else. Aside from the benefit of having a good, rigorous traffic safety plan, the other main benefit of the plan is it creates eligibility for implementation funds for the listed projects out of this SS4A program. So there's potentially construction dollars at the end of the process. That would be about $1 billion nationally for the 2026 funding opportunity under this program, as well as helping provide information in support of any other types of grants that our jurisdictions would like to pursue for these projects. We discussed this project with the TAC in April, then again in July. So we've been here twice before for some general direction and comment. And now we're starting to have some draft products to review. So we're back today. And then I think these items are gonna, for the most part, keep coming until we seek recommendations and approval early next year. So certain plan elements will be bringing to you today, and in future meetings, they're required under the grant program. There is some structure that we need to fulfill in order to have a valid plan under SS4A. But you'll hear more about that. We do need to wrap up the project by kind of March, April next year in order to have enough time for member governments to prepare applications for the implementation grants under the program. And that expected deadline is around the end of June next year. So that means getting final board approval no later than April. And there's no questions about that sort of introductory stuff. I'll turn it over to our consultants to give a little presentation.
Consultant project manager on this project. Agenda for this presentation. I'll touch upon the safety action plan because it's been a while since we presented on the basics of it, and then to outline all the operation engagement that we've completed, followed by the analysis we've completed thus far, which the TAC has received a memo where we put the network and the intersection segments that we've identified for prioritization. And just a quick touch upon the buddy schedule. And as part of the overview, the Safe Streets and Roads program is focused upon significant reduction of fatalities and serious injuries related to traffic on the roadway network. It has guiding principles in that the circle that you see, the words that are around the principles and the objectives. So the idea being that the principles are about injuries are human mistakes, safety is proactive, clemency in safety is critical, and that the responsibility is shared. Are vulnerable to injuries and the objectives are safer roads, safer speeds, people, safer vehicles, and post-crash care. Regarding those, as Jason mentioned, the funding opportunities for 26 would be for planning and demonstration grants and implementation grants. Implementation grants would be funding for design, environmental clearances, right-of-way, and construction of any projects, along with a local match. Planning and demonstration grants are related to developing action or temporary improvements that can be studied. The main thing, the benefit to the communities is the eligibility of future implementation. And of course, if the action plan is intention is to be a living document that can be used in other grant applications, and of course, tracking the safety performance of the region. You might remember this one. In order to analyze the safety, we divided the area into 3 sub-areas. We have the mountain, the suburban, urban area around Colorado Springs and Fountain, and then El Paso County, which was flat and more rural elements. The idea overall to combine these and to look at this holistically because safety does not stop at borders, so we want to create a plan that provides a framework for the whole region as a whole. The safety action plan process, so these are the 7 elements that are required by the USDOT to be part of the safety action plan. I won't read through these, but we are following this very process, and we will make sure that all of these are accounted for at the end as part of the final safety action plan. In the blue box, we do mention what the tax roll, which would be for formal adoption in February of 2026. The engagement to date, we've been, these are a list of all the meetings that we've been doing. We've met with all the local agencies. We've met with the TAC and the CAC as well. And we had an online mapping and survey in Social Pinpoint that has been closed very recently. So we're in the process of accumulating those comments, and they will be part of our analysis and will be accounted for in the safety action plan. Touching upon the safety analysis, this graphic shows the process for the safety analysis, starting from the crash analysis, then development of the high injury network, followed by a systemic safety analysis, which is more of a proactive approach to safety analysis. And in that process, we identify risk elements in a network, and then wherever we find these risk elements, we identify those segments as areas for consideration for safety improvements. We're right now in the process of prioritization of the top locations that were identified in the memo that was shared with the TAC. The next steps will be a countermeasure pairing and development of projects for implementation grants. The high injury network is one of the main elements of a safety action plan. It is a requirement of the SS4A program, and the idea is to identify portions of the roadway network, including intersections and segments, that have a high occurrence of crash rates or crash densities or crash frequencies. So basically, these are locations of concern based on crashes that have already occurred. The way we did it is that we developed a weighted crash index, which gives higher weight to fatalities and severe injuries. And I'll touch upon the weights here in the next slide. The next one is, this is a flow chart that we included in the memo. Just wanted to touch upon the process of how we developed the high injury network. The process, there's the crash data analysis process and development of the weighted crash severity index, and the weights that you see on this slide are based off of the dollar values associated with each of these by FHWA. So a fatality is 11 times, has a weight of 11 as opposed to a complaint of injury, which has only a weight of 1. So this crash data was basically joined with the roadway data to develop the intersection and segmentation process. And then we identified the top tiers for segments and intersections separately, followed by a smoothing of the network to develop the final high injury network. The next slide shows basically how a small percentage of intersections and quarter miles account for a very high percentage of the severe crashes, so fatal and seriously injured crashes. So As you can see, only 109 intersections identified accounted for a significant over 1,000 crashes in the high injury intersections, and 200 miles of roadway accounted for over 1,100 severe crashes. The next few slides will touch upon the high injury network. These are not quite visible, but again, all of these intersections and segments have been listed in the memo that was shared, but just wanted to touch upon these to show where these locations are. We have provided some gradation in terms of the size of the red circles represents crashes. Bigger the circle, bigger the issue, and for segments, the red elements are the worst safety performance and so forth. The next one is for the urban and suburban, same story here. These were listed in the memo as well. And the next, this is the one in El Paso County, and again, these are the intersection of the segments that were identified. The next slide touches upon the high risk network. This is an ongoing process right now, but I wanted to touch upon this so that we could give you a sense of the high risk network as well. Basically, like it says here, the creation of a high risk network highlights the roads with a high potential for crashes, even if the crashes have not occurred yet. So the idea being, this helps us not wait for crashes to occur before we provide some safety interventions. The next few slides will show the high-risk network that we've identified so far, and the risk factors that you see are the causal factors that we've identified that are associated with a high number of crashes or high density of crashes. So the mountain has these risk factors of functional classification, volume, speed limit, the percentage of senior population, and zero vehicle households. These are a little different from what you see in the urban suburban, where presence of medians and proximity of schools are different from the previous one and become important factors. And again, this is the final one for El Paso County. Yeah, Melanie, if you could go to the previous slide, I just wanted to touch upon that. For an example here, the proximity to schools does not mean that to improve safety, we need to remove the schools. So it just means that if you have a road network and you have proximity to the schools, there are certain safety countermeasures that we'll be considering that need to be applied. So just as the explanation of how the risk factors are used. The analysis next steps. Like I said, we are currently in the process of prioritization. So as what you received in the memo was the list of locations that we've provided based on crash density or crash frequency. The next step will be prioritization, which takes into account multiple factors, including the rates and frequencies that I mentioned, the level of service of safety of each of those intersections, as well as public comments at locations. So each of these are given weight, and we will combine these to come up with a score for each location that you've seen in these maps, and then those will be prioritized. The prioritized list of locations will be part of the safety action plan as for information to each agency. And each agency can apply for funding for those locations however you please. It doesn't have to be in the order, but our purpose is to provide you a prioritized list so you can understand the safety needs. Again, followed by countermeasure pairing, which will be used to develop projects that you can apply for funding. And then the final will be the recommendations of strategy and policy. For our project next steps, just wanted to quickly touch upon the slide. We've shared this before. It's our schedule. So right now, our goal is to have a formally adopted plan in the February-March period so that we can apply for funding at the end of May, June. The exact date hasn't been released yet in 2024, 2026, but that's when we anticipate the no filter come out. And I believe that was my last slide, so happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have questions or comments? I'm really talking in group today. All right, thank you for the information. All right, looks like we have CDOT Regional Priority Project Funding Update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeff Guthrie, Region 2 Planner. I'd like to begin this by apologizing to everybody for very lately getting this accompanying descriptive memo to you all. I take that one. All of that being said, included in your packet, and I'm not sure what page, there is a very entertaining spreadsheet of what I'm about to discuss. It reminds me of the old Rube Goldberg diagrams, for those of you old enough to appreciate that one. Looking at John Liasatos, thank you.
Wait.
But I will at least go through this accompanying memo that's in your packet here, line by line, just to explain each of these proposed changes. So RPP, Regional Priorities Program, that is one of the many funding sources that CDOT manages. This particular one, RPP, is allocated each year by the Transportation Commission, our governing board of CDOT. Historically, going back several years, this has totaled $50 million per year statewide, and that is suballocated to CDOT regions based on a formula that I believe from memory is 50% based on the region's population, 35% based on lane miles on the state highway system, and then 15% based on the number of truck vehicle miles traveled within that CDOT region. And I mean the CDOT 5 engineering regions whenever I say that. RPP, Regional Priorities Program, is a flexible funding pool that is programmed by each region's transportation director in cooperation with our planning partners, our MPOs and our TPRs. And historically, you may have remembered, the old timers may remember that we've approached you each year with asking for your approval with the next TIP and STIP outer year. I guess it would be the STIP, the Statewide Transportation Improvement Plan's outer year, the next fourth year that's coming into that next STIP. And this time we are approaching you going all the way out to state fiscal year 2032 in an effort to better prioritize the next several years of RPP spending around the region. Of course, with this is not, we've approached you, sought your approval, and then won't come back. If there are any changes each year, then myself or the RTD will update the TAC, the CAC, and the board of directors with what those proposed changes are. All of that being said, Region 2 historically on average has been allocated roughly $9.5 million of RPP funding, and that's to the 14 counties around Region 2. And then of the 14 counties, the 5 planning regions, the target RPP percentage suballocation for the PPACG MPO is 40.9, just under 41%. So that sets the context then for what we're about to look at. This spreadsheet, you'll see the bottom row, we've totaled up each of the annual budgeted and planned funds. We've tried this, we have not tried, we have done. We've separated each of the state fiscal years into the left column being the planned funds, so that's what we're planning on spending and we're going to program, and then the budgeted funds or obligated funds, those are what we've actually spent in that particular fiscal year within the PPACG region. And so you'll see that on the bottom row, because that is important because we are also internally tracking that, trying to meet that target 40.9% each year that's suballocated to the PPACG region. So obviously by tracking that annual amount, we're making sure that we're hitting or coming really close to that target. And all of that being said, over the past several years, PPACG actually has been under allocated that percentage. So I will hit on that point in the 2032 portion of this, where I will tell you after all of these proposed changes and additions what that target percentage will be. So going from the memo, and not to completely bore everybody, do please interrupt if there are any questions, but starting with state fiscal year 26, the proposed changes for fiscal year 26, please note that these net proposed changes actually add $130,000 to the PPACG fiscal year 26 totals. Number one is new funding of $130,000 of fiscal year 26, and that's coming from project savings around all of CDOT Region 2 that are then going to be programmed to perform the critical highway maintenance, just like the memo says. You will see that in the 2026 budgeted column in the green highlighted cell next to the R2 regional priority roadway segments, highway paving and maintenance of mobility, so on and so forth, you will see in 2026 we've already budgeted $550,000, as the memo says, that were used to resurface the intersection near Powers and Milton Proby. The addition of the $130,000 bring that fiscal year 26 total to $680,000. And that additional $130,000 we are intending to use to complete the crack sealing to ensure the long-term benefit, as the memo says, of that recent State Highway 115A projects that are southwest of the city of Colorado Springs. And then secondly, in that same fiscal year 2026, moving down that spreadsheet just a little bit to the State Highway 21A and B and US 24A and Interstate 25A corridor management row, you will see that we are proposing to move $150,000 in fiscal year 26. We're moving that from the project State Highway 21A and B mobility and safety improvements to the newly named, what I just listed, State Highway 21A and B, 24A, and I-25A corridor management. And Region 2 intends to use these funds to ensure corridor management that includes looking for future mobility and safety enhancements. That includes completing necessary management tasks such as environmental assessment financial plans, critical to all future planned activities on these corridors. That is all for fiscal year 26. Moving into fiscal year 27, going to the right on the spreadsheet, Region 2 is proposing to program new funding of $400,000. And I just realized that I have a typo in there on number 3. It's actually supposed to say $400,000 of fiscal year 27. RPP. I apologize for not catching that. And we're moving that new funding from overall program savings, again from around Region 2. And we propose to allocate that to US Highway 24H resurfacing from Interstate 25 to Powers Boulevard. The new $400,000 of funds will allow for pre-construction design work to start on this proposed new 10-year plan project for the years fiscal year 27 to 30 that this group and the CAC and ultimately the board of directors approved when we approached you all back in August of this year. Moving into fiscal year 28, Region 2 proposes to reduce the allocation of fiscal year 28 RPP to Interstate 25A South Academy to Circle Lake and Safety Operational Improvements. We're reducing that by $1 million from $3 million that was previously approved by this group and the board, down to $2 million. We further propose to use that $1 million that we are taking from that allocation that will go to the next 2 projects that I'm reading. And then this I-25A South Academy from Circle and Lake to Safety Operational Improvements will then propose to program more funding as noted in the following numbers 9, 15, and 20. Follow me, everybody. Number 5, Region 2 proposes to allocate $500,000 of fiscal year 28 RPP to the State Highway 21A and Stetson Hills interchange. We propose to use this funding to begin pre-construction activities, and this project is also included in our proposed 10-year plan. And I'm saying proposed 10-year plan as that has not yet been adopted by the Transportation Commission, but those proposals have gone before this august body, including and the CAC and the board of directors already back in August. Sorry, let me catch myself. Added at the request of this group to the new fiscal year 27 to 36 10-year plan. Number 6, Region 2 proposes to allocate another $500,000 in fiscal year 28 of RPP funding to the US Highway 85A, and specifically to replace structure J18M in Fountain. That $500,000 will be used to continue the pre-construction activities such as right-of-way acquisition on this also proposed 10-year plan project, which we've included funding in our proposed 10-year plan for fiscal years 31 to 36. So we'll hopefully be able to program the fiscal year 28 funds, as this memo says, to continue the pre-construction activities to move towards that construction funding that we hopefully will get approved in 31 to 36. Second page, number 7. Region 2 proposes to move $500,000 of fiscal year 28 RPP from the project named I-25A Mobility and Safety Improvements to new project Colorado State Highway 94A Corridor Study. That is another typo that I did not catch and just caught in this meeting on this spreadsheet. It's down towards the bottom, highlighted in yellow in the project description column. Initially, we had proposed an entire PEL. Instead, we are naming this project, it won't be a full-blown PEL at all, and we are going to name this a corridor study. And these $500,000 of fiscal year 28 funds will allow for the assessment of critical mobility and safety projects to support into the future. Number 8, in fiscal year 28, Region 2 proposes to move $500,000 of fiscal year 28 funding from US 24A mobility and safety improvements to a project that we're naming US 24H resurfacing from Interstate 25 to Powers Boulevard. And that aligns that funding in that particular fiscal year better to the same proposed 10-year plan project in that same tranche of years. Moving into fiscal year 30, going to the right on the spreadsheet, number 9, trying to get through this quickly for everybody. Region 2 proposes to allocate $2 million of fiscal year 30 funding to Interstate 25A South Academy Circle Lake safety operational improvements. You'll remember that we had taken some funding from that in an earlier year in this proposal. We are revisiting that a few years later. We propose to use this $2 million of funding to continue pre-construction activities and, importantly, provide grant match funds on this active 10-year project. Number 10, propose to allocate $1 million of fiscal year 30 RPP to the State Highway 21A and Stetson Hills interchange. This group hopefully will remember that we, with the consultation of this group and the board of directors, added the State Highway 21A and Stetson Hills interchange to our originally proposed 10-year plan for covering fiscal years 27 to 36. And so we're adding this $1 million of RPP in fiscal year 30 to align with that proposed 10-year plan project. Again, based on the board of directors and the tax request. Number 11, we propose to allocate $2.5 million fiscal year 30 RPP to the US Highway 24A and Ridge Road Overpass project. This $2.5 million will be used to continue pre-construction activities and also provide potential grant match funds on this active 10-year plan project. Continuing in fiscal year 30, number 12, we propose to allocate $250,250 of fiscal year 30 RPP funds to State Highway 21A and B, US 24A and I-25A corridor management. We'll make use of these funds to ensure corridor management that includes looking for future mobility and safety enhancements, and that will include completing necessary corridor management tasks such as the EA financial plans critical to all future planned activities. Number 13, fiscal year 30, we propose to allocate $250,000 to State Highway 105A resurfacing from Interstate 25 to Palmer Lake. We'd like to use this funding to continue pre-construction activities on this proposed new 10-year plan project. We've included this proposed 10-year plan project in fiscal years 31 to 36. Again, that was approved by the board of directors in August, that proposal. Number 14, allocate $500,000 of fiscal year 30 RPP to US Highway 85A, again replacing that structure J18M in Fountain. We'd like to use this $500,000 of fiscal year 30 funds to continue the pre-construction activities, and those might be right-of-way acquisition, as an example, on this proposed new 10-year plan project, and this aligns with where we have placed that project in our new 10-year plan in fiscal years 31 to 36. Moving into fiscal year 31, and as this memo indicates, fiscal year 31 has not had a previously approved funding plan by PPACG, and so the total amount here is $4.5 million. Number 15, we propose to allocate $1 million in fiscal year 31 to I-25A South Academy Circle and Lake safety and operational improvements. We'll continue with this funding pre-construction activities, and we can possibly provide grant match funds on this active 10-year plan project. Number 16, we propose to allocate $1 million of fiscal year 31 to State Highway 21A and Milton Proby interchange. This funding will be used, forgive my misspeak, to continue those pre-construction activities, and that is a proposed new 10-year plan project in fiscal years 31 to 36. So this RPP fiscal year 31 aligns with that. Number 17, we propose to allocate $1 million in fiscal year 31 to the State Highway 21A and Stetson Hills interchange. We'd like to continue using this funding for pre-construction activities. And again, the State Highway 21 and Stetson Hills interchange is on the proposed 10-year plan for the PPACG region that the board approved in August. Number 18, we propose to allocate $1 million of fiscal year 31 RPP to US Highway 85A, the same replaced structure J18M in Fountain. We'll continue to use this $1 million in 31 for pre-construction activities, possibly for right-of-way acquisition on this proposed new 10-year project. Number 19, allocate $500,000 in fiscal year 31 to the Region 2 Regional Priorities funding that we use to perform critical highway maintenance. You can see in the project description on the far left side of the spreadsheet, let me find it on here. The CDOT project subaccount is 26921. It's kind of towards the top, and it says R2 Regional Priority Roadway Segments, Highway Paving and Maintenance of Mobility. HMA stands for Hot Mix Asphalt. I just learned from my engineers that IDIQ stands for, oh my goodness, let me look this up. Thank you guys. It was Indefinite Delivery, Indefinite Quantity Contract. Thank you, engineers. But that is a region-wide fund to do those repairs. And in this particular year, where was I? We are just using this as a placeholder in fiscal year 31 for that $500,000 within the PPACG region. And finally, fiscal year 32, it had not had a previously approved funding plan, so Region 2 is proposing $4.5 million to be allocated to the PPACG region in fiscal year 32. Starting with number 20 on page 3, we propose to allocate $1 million in fiscal year 32 to Interstate 25A, South Academy to Circle Lake safety and operational improvements. We will continue to pre-construction activities, and then similarly to previous years, we would possibly use this to provide potential grant match funds on this active 10-year plan project. Number 21, we propose to allocate $1 million of fiscal year 32 RPP to the State Highway 21A and Milton Proby interchange. We would use this funding to continue pre-construction activities. Again, the State Highway 21A and Milton Proby interchange is on the proposed new 10-year plan for fiscal years 27 to 30. Number 22, we propose to allocate $1 million in fiscal year 32 to the State Highway 21A and Stetson Hills interchange. Continue pre-construction activities. Again, this project is on the proposed 10-year plan. Number 23, we propose to allocate $1 million fiscal year 32 to US Highway 24A and Ridge Road Overpass. Similarly to before, we would use this funding to continue pre-construction activities and again, possibly provide grant match funds, and that is an active, 10-year plan project. And finally, number 24, we propose to allocate $500,000 of fiscal year 32 to the Region 2 Regional Priorities funding that I had just touched upon, the Hot Mix Asphalt IDIQ contract, so that we can continue to perform critical highway maintenance of mobility operations within the PPACG region. And so all of that being said, I would like to just point out to the group, again, our target percentage based on that Transportation Commission approved formula for the PPACG region, our target percentage of spending RPP is 40.9% out of the total Region 2 allocation. And so with all of these proposals, if they are approved out to fiscal year 32, using our rolling average tracking, at the end of fiscal year 32, if all of these funds are budgeted, that will bring the targeted, or that will bring the actual RPP spending within PPACG at the end of 2032 up to 40.8%. All of that being said, I'd please love to entertain any questions.
That was a lot, Jeff. Thank you for that. Proposals. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Sir.
So Jeff, is this the list that we've seen before? So all of it's included in the long-range plan? Okay.
Correct.
Very good. Lots of pre-construction activities. Hopefully we'll see some construction coming out of those.
Fingers crossed, Madam Chair.
And we're still supposed to get to 40.9, right? So we're still getting the short end of the stick.
By 0.1%. Yes, John.
Well, it's no big deal. Then why don't we get 0.1% above? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
We always want more. Actually, we always need more. I'll put it that way. Okay, thank you for that and hearing no questions at this point. Anybody that does have second thoughts on it, please feel free to email Jeff with any comments or questions coming out of the meeting.
Thank you. And I also did not point out one more thing. We will be coming, this is informational item this month, and we'll be coming back to this group and the CAC and then ultimately the board of directors at your next month's meetings for seeking your approval.
Very good. Thank you for bringing it as an information item. It was a lot.
I don't think you need to read it all again. Just saying.
Please don't next time. All right, moving on to Josh and Transportation Improvement Program update.
Thank you and good afternoon, and thank you all for your time here today. Just want to provide a brief update for the TIP. First, PPACG staff has been reviewing how local match funding sources are labeled in our ETIP system. Currently, local match funds are entered as items like STB Metro local match or TAP local match. So to improve clarity and consistency, we are proposing to standardize these to a format such as like local match for STB Metro. So it'd be the funding source, the word for, and it'd be local match, the word for, and then the funding source. This change would make tracking and reporting local match contributions easier, and it would align our structure more closely with CDOT's STIP. We also are considering an alternative option of using a single local match category with multiple line items where applicable. Our second update is regarding to the fiscal year 27 through fiscal year 31 call for projects, which is now open. Draft applications are due on December 5th at 5 p.m. and the final applications are due December 19th at 5 p.m. Staff will host a pre-application workshop. This will be held on Monday, November 3rd from 11 a.m. to 12. This meeting will be a hybrid option, so you can either attend in person or online. And if you have not already, I believe I've only received one from El Paso County. Thank you. For cost overrun estimates. If you could report those to staff as soon as possible, if you have those ready, that would be great. This information helps us to determine whether new projects can be considered in this call for projects. Again, I thank you all for your time and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Josh. Any questions on the TIP update?
Just a comment, actually. Sometimes in the TIP, there's local overmatch listed, and so I just want to make sure that we keep that separate, because it's not reflected in the STIP.
Yes, we would still keep that separate.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. If no questions or other comments on that, then
I'll ask a question. So on the pre-workshop, is that for folks who are new to the committee? For example, Victoria may have done one or two applications in the past. Is this aligned for her? Is there new information, or is it basically information for folks that are somewhat new to the process?
Yeah, thanks, John. I should explain that.
Just a softball for you here.
The first 30 minutes of the workshop will be for the newer members. We'll give an overview of what the call for projects is, how do you apply, and just basically all the materials that were in the application packet. And the last 30 minutes will be to answer anyone's questions that they may have. So come in, we'll answer your question. But the whole hour is open to anyone that would like to join.
very good. Thank you. We do have a bunch of new members, so I have a feeling you'll have some attendance at that workshop.
I know I'm ruining your pace to get out of here in record time, but again, for the new members, that cost overrun is very important, because if we don't receive the cost overrun, what we'll do is we'll say, hey, there is capacity to entertain new projects. Then people will go to all the effort to do new projects. Then we will go into the workshop, and all of a sudden people will be like, oh yeah, I didn't mention it, but I have a cost overrun. Well, a lot of people are going to be upset if they went to all the trouble, excuse me, to develop new applications when in fact all we can entertain is cost overruns. So it's very important we get that from everybody as soon as possible, because otherwise, once we say, yep, this is the number we have, looks like we can entertain a certain amount of new projects, a lot of people are going to put in a lot of effort that they might not need to if you don't report in a timely fashion.
Thank you for that reminder. You're right. It is important to do that, because if we don't have any new money for new projects, why fill out the very long forms? All right, John, are you taking the next one? Finance workshop.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In previous meetings, I think it was Gail who brought up, hey, we'd like to learn more about advanced construction. And so we reached out to CDOT, and we had a great chat with Patrick Gerton and Eric Ibar on advanced construction, toll credits, state infrastructure bank, and tapered match. And in fact, the original plan was they were going to give us the information, and then Josh and I were going to come back and do a 10-minute presentation for you. After hearing the depth of the knowledge that these two gentlemen have and the breadth of the thing, we're like, yeah, 10 minutes by a couple of newbies ain't going to cut it. So what we've done is we've set up a workshop that's an hour-long virtual. In fact, Eric and Patrick are going to be presenting from the comfort of their own offices up in Denver. So it's 100% virtual, unless you all wanted to get together here and have snacks and popcorn. But no, sorry. Anyway, I digress. But the bottom line is we've set that virtual finance workshop for Monday, October 27th from 2 to 3. Now, because it's about finance things like, again, advanced construction, toll credits, all those sorts of things, you might not want to just have it contained to your normal sort of TAC attendance. You might want to forward the invitation. I think you sent that out last week. Yeah, so you would have gotten an invitation from Josh, but again, we can send it out. We'll send it out again with a reminder. But you'll want to forward that to the folks, either your project managers or your finance staff, because again, knowing the ins and outs of being able to either utilize the infrastructure bank or even doing taper match, right? If you're a smaller jurisdiction, you've got money coming in, but that money's not going to come in and you don't want to delay the project. You could do it where you have a smaller match at the beginning of the project with a greater match towards the end of the project. So these are all financing tools that can help you with your project delivery, get the things out the door sooner, get them constructed faster, which means, one, your public gets to use it quicker, and two, you avoid the nasty inflation noid. Remember Domino's, avoid the noid? Yeah, so inflation, prices are never going to get cheaper. They're only going to get more expensive. So the sooner you can deliver, the better off you are. So that was our quick plug to A, get a lot of people online, and B, make sure that you send it out to your entire staff that would be interested. And again, I don't know if anybody at CDOT Region 2 wants to take on sending it out, but there's also probably some folks that might want to know about that. But anyhow, happy to answer any questions.
Just thank you for looking into this and setting it up. I know at least 5 people from the county are going to attend, and I need to send it to my finance people now that I think about it. But yeah, this is going to be a really good learning experience for a lot of us. So, Jeff.
That's a good point. Thanks, John. We can work with our fantastic local agency program to distribute that to those contacts. Thank you.
So again, like I said, we went from like, well, I'll just listen to them and I'll come back and tell you all about it in 10 minutes. No, these guys were really good, a lot of knowledge, very impressed with their ability to put something together that I think can be very helpful to all of our jurisdictions.
Again, thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. Let's hit the two next ones, Front Range Rail and Federal Transit update together. Lisa.
Hi there. I'm actually going to separate them just because I have a presenter. Nancy Burke from the Front Range Passenger Rail District is here. Thank you, Nancy, for being here, and she will be presenting on an overview of the rail and then any updates in the last 7 months to a year, and then she'll answer any questions you guys have. Nancy, thank you, and you may start.
Great, thanks, Lisa. And thanks everyone for having me. I'm Nancy Burke. I'm the Director of Communications and Outreach from Front Range Passenger Rail. And we'll go to the next slide. This is just an overview. I'm going to be quick on some of these first slides, but the district was created by the legislature in 21. It's the largest special district in Colorado. If you see the blue area on the map, that is the district. So that's about 85% of the population in our state. And we're looking at starting in Fort Collins, going down to Pueblo. There's 9 primary stops. We have 24 board members across the 13 counties, and we'll look at a ballot initiative coming forward to ask the voters for approval of financing the project. Next slide. Over 54 hours stuck in traffic on average, the Coloradan is. If you look at the last bullet here, this is Colorado Springs. Drivers last 54 hours due to congestion and 21 gallons of fuel. Annual cost per driver is about $1,200. Population growth is expected to climb over the years. And so Front Range Passenger Rail offers an option. It'll take cars off the road, and it will help with air quality goals as well. Next slide. This is just an overview of what Front Range Passenger Rail is. Planning to use existing freight rail lines, so that'll save a lot in money and time. As far as, you know, it's not a high-speed rail like California and Japan, because we're using existing tracks and there's curvature and geographical issues, you know, with the land. We're looking at, according to our SDP planners, 79 miles per hour max. Now, that's not to say we can't get a little bit faster going south, but still to be determined on what that looks like. As I mentioned before, the 9 primary stops across 180 miles, Fort Collins down to Pueblo. And now and I'll talk about this later, but the joint service is the newest thing in the realm. It is about 3 additional stops between Denver and Fort Collins to get that started. We're looking at 3 to 6 and up to 10 daily round trips according to the SDP. Our service development plan is looking to be finalized later this year, so that's exciting. And we do have a long-term vision of connecting to New Mexico and Wyoming. With the joint service that I'll talk about in a moment, they're looking at service to start as soon as 2029. So next slide. This is about the service development plan. Talks about the partners here on the left-hand column and the function. What it does is just, you know, modeling and looking at, you know, what this is. It's kind of like a business plan for the project. And so when the service development plan finalizes, we'll have the exact routes. We'll have major markets for stations. You know, we'll know what the frequency is. We'll know, you know, what the amenities are in the fare structure, departure times and all of that. And then we'll have an implementation plan too, to extend across the whole corridor. Next slide. So this is part of the service development plan. This is some of the new stuff. In May to June, we conducted an online open house. The alternative analysis was completed, and there was an online self-guided opportunity for folks to come and learn a little bit more about what the alternative recommended. And we had about 2,100 people in attendance, 600 comments received, and the key themes from the comments were about speed, schedule, frequency, route, and the cost. Next slide. This shows where we are in the service development plan. The alternative analysis just completed. We're looking to the project development, and the environmental will be next, but we're getting close to the end of the year here, and we're very excited about that. So this is just a little map about that. Next slide. So joint service is the newest thing. Governor Polis is working with RTD, pulled these partners together to say, hey, what can we do and to get this proof of concept, if you will, for Front Range passenger rail. So RTD had promised rail service back in the day with fast tracks, and that hasn't been completed due to financial reasons. So what can we do to pool our resources to make this happen? So we call this joint service through Senate Bill 24-184, and it directs agencies to work together, CDOT, CTE, CTIO, RTD, and Front Range Passenger Rail with the governor's office to create an IGA that says we will work together and use resources that we have in play already to lessen the cost. And this will be kind of our starter service. It's kind of a bare bones, if you will. But that'll include 3 round trips from Denver to Fort Collins. And we'll have minimum infrastructure upgrades and temporary station platforms. We can always enhance this, but we need that proof of concept to get things started. And what is in statute is that the service will start in 2029. And next slide. This is kind of a comparison of what RTD in the red was looking at. The blue in the middle is Front Range. We were looking at its intercity rail compared to commuter. Fort Collins to Pueblo, 5 stops between Denver and Fort Collins with the 4 additional stops south of Denver. And anywhere from 4 to 10 round trips is kind of what we're looking at. And then for funding would be a ballot measure, federal grants, and other state fees. The timing would be for the financing to come in through the ballot measure. And there's still some opportunities through the federal grants to show if we have 10% local match to their 90% through grants, it's a real nice deal for Colorado. Joint service is kind of a combination here. So it's hybrid intercity and passenger rail, or hybrid passenger rail with commuter lines already in place. Denver to Fort Collins, round trips, 8 stops. And we're looking at RTD to contribute funds. The financing component of joint service will be later this spring. Joint service is meeting today and just ongoing to work with BNSF to, look at what that contract might be for using the rail and what kind of service we can, get going to start by 2029. So next slide. This is about benefits of the rail. I'll let you just kind of look at this. I mean, there's a lot here. I think that connectivity just really enhances economic activity. There's job creation, connections, construction, jobs, a whole lot. But with the joint service coming into play, that shows us the proof of the pudding. I know that folks up north, we've heard this before. Is it really going to be a train? We need that. And that should substantiate and help with the ballot initiative going forward to complete the whole wide corridor project. Next slide. So our next steps for Front Range passenger rail is we'll complete that service development plan, and then we'll go into NEPA clearance for federal funding. We're continuing our public education and coalition building, so we'll be down in your woods to talk about this more. If anybody is interested in having a presentation or talking about this more, please reach out. We'd love to come and talk with you. The joint service startup is really what we're focusing on now. The board has a vision of whole corridor wide. They're not abandoning anything, but to get this proof of concept, we'll start there. And then what can we do to implement the rest of the corridor? And again, beginning construction for 2029 delivery of service. Next slide. If you have any questions, you can go to info@frprdistrict.com. I'm Nancy Burke, so feel free to address it to me, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you for that presentation, Nancy. Does anyone have questions? All right, you have apparently done a terrific job and answered all of our questions.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate your time, and please reach out if you do have questions down the road. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 5310.
Thank you. Hi, it's me again, Lisa Gagnon, PPACG. I'm here to talk about the NOFA, the Notice of Funding Availability for our Federal Transit Administration 5310 funds. So these funds are for enhancing mobility for older adults and individuals with disabilities, and these are going to closing the gaps in public transit in paratransit where it's not provided. So extended boundaries, service hours, and just providing door-to-door service. And we are the direct recipient of these funds since 2020. And then this round of funding is for January 1st, 2026 to December 21st, or December 31st, 2026. And these are just for the Colorado Springs urbanized area. For right now, the funding is estimated to be just over $600,000. We have not gotten the appropriation from the federal government yet, so this is just an estimation. For this, we did 80% of our last funding, just because we have not received it. We are still going through the process, so when we do receive the funding, we already be in the process so the providers can get the funding as soon as possible. So with this being said, the funding is suggested to be changed, and we will update if it has increased or decreased, but right now this is just an estimate. So the application process, it has already been released. It was released October 7th, and then it will be open till November 4th. And then it will be by late December. We'll have our service providers chosen, and we'll go through that whole process. Next slide. And this is how the review will work and the schedule and how the TAC will come in. So first, PPACG staff will screen the applicants. And then after, and right now we are creating the TRS, the Technical Review Subcommittee, and these will rank and score the applicants. And then after, I will come back next month with the ranking to present at the TAC of who will get the funding of the applicants, and it will be an action item. So right now it's just information, but next month will be an action item. Then after that, it will be a public comment period. And then this process will also happen with our CAC and then eventually the board. And the board will take the public comments, the TAC and CAC suggestions, and then they will approve the funding. Next slide. So right now, currently, the application's open, so we're accepting applicants, and then the NOFA was posted online, and it's posted on the PPACG website, and then also newspapers. And then, additionally, I am creating the technical review subcommittee. So right now, it's just in the very beginning phases. I just wanted to bring this to you as information, and that there is more to come in the following months. Is there any questions about the 5310 process?
I'm doubting because we've had a really quiet group, but I'll ask. Are there any comments or questions for Lisa? All right, hearing none. Thank you very much.
Lisa, do you have everybody you need for the technical review subcommittee? Do you need us to nominate someone who's not here to defend themselves?
I have been reaching out. I've gotten a couple yeses, and I'm still creating the committee right now. But no, we don't have to put anyone on the chopping block. We're all good right now. Thank you.
Very good.
But if you want to do it, let her know.
If anyone would like to be on the review committee, please let me know. But right now, I think we are good, but happy to take others.
All right, terrific. CDOT updates.
Kathleen, would you like to go first if you're still on here?
Sure, I'll go first. My updates are pretty brief. So the Transportation Commission did adopt the 2050 statewide plan in September, and now the next steps are to work with the TPRs to adopt their 2050 regional transportation plans. And there is a meeting scheduled for this coming Monday for the Central Front Range, and they will be requested to adopt their regional transportation plan for 2050 via resolution. So interested parties feel free to attend that meeting. Also, there is a new commissioner serving on the Transportation Commission. Her name is Diane Barrett. She is replacing the seat filled by Jessica Holquin. Also, the TC members had an abbreviated meeting today. They just covered normal protocol budget workshop and then approved certain budget changes. And then for STAC, the next meeting is November 6th, and it will be in person at C.HQ. And that is pretty much all my updates from C.HQ. Thank you.
Any other CDOT updates?
From the transit side, this is Scott Skinner. There is the consolidated capital call for projects. The NOPA just went out. There is a training actually tomorrow from 9:30 to 12:30 just for new applicants or anybody who wants some more information on that. So if you need the invite, I can definitely send that to you. Shilpa should be reaching out to you guys. Those are vehicles, any type of building or equipment or anything like that, all falls under capital for us. So that is out for there. And then thank you for covering the 5310 portion of everything. Right now, the federal FTA is still doing reimbursements and everything, so no worries on that. With the federal shutdown, they'll continue to keep on doing that. And I think that's all I got from the transit side right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing from Jeff? All right, nothing from Michelle.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Please.
I just wanted to take a moment to edify Josh. He really hit the ground running, and we've been working on tip and step reconciliation, and so thanks for all of your work with that. The intentionality behind the being able to get the local match appropriately documented in the tip and reconciliation, and thank you, Michelle, as well. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, and yes, thank you, Josh, for your efforts. Member entity announcements. John?
I'm not a member entity, but since nobody else jumped on it. In this very room, and I think that also has a hybrid option, on October 28th from 9 to 12 is a transportation demand management training. I think Tom Joyce from CDOT's Office of Innovative Mobility is the presenter. And hopefully you all would have gotten an agenda and a little email on what it is. So again, want to encourage everyone to attend that training and or forward it to others within your organization that might want to go. Lisa, do you want to add anything I might have just glossed over? Or
Yes, I will add a little bit. Any questions, you can email me or Angie Martell. And I can emphasize, if you can't come, please, someone from your department or agency. I would love to see as many people as can. Hybrid here, also online. And then, in addition to that, another PPACG announcement for Senate Bill 30, the project inventory list and gap analysis, I guess. I'm creating that list, and I should be sending out each jurisdiction's list that I have the information to. Hopefully it'll be early next week. And then with this, I'm just asking you to fill in any blanks or any other projects I have missed, and then send it back to me by early December. Because I, as PPACG, will send it out to CDOT by the end of the year. So I will be sending it to the TAC representatives from each agency. And then if you can also talk to your people and then just try to get the list filled out. But I will send a lot more information in the next couple days. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. And on that, again, remember, the state law says that the jurisdictions need to send whatever, but it also then says things like cost estimates are optional if they're available. So when we send that to you, as far as filling in the blanks, if you can, great. If you can't, that's fine. But ultimately, at the end, we do need to get something back in writing from each of the jurisdictions that shows your compliance with the actual have to part of it, right? We're not going to bust your chops on the optional stuff. If you want to do it, great. If you don't want to, that's fine. But on the have to part, I believe it says that every jurisdiction needs to submit to PPAC or the MPO. And again, we've made it easy on you instead of saying, hey, you guys, you need to send us stuff, which meant you had to do it. Lisa's been doing the heavy lift, putting everything together for you. All you got to do is look to see if we missed anything. But ultimately, you can't just not answer, because then I don't have documentation that you complied with state law. So.
Yes, the sheets are color coded. Green is the stuff that has to be filled out, and then yellow, just as a sneak peek, is optional. And then if you're like, this list is perfect, amazing, just email back saying this is all set. That's all.
Color
thank you.
coded. I like
It is
that.
color coded.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Well, we appreciate the help in doing the heavy lifting. We were struggling with the bill. So thank you. Any other member entity announcements? All right,
Chair?
last chance, Mountain Metro. I usually get something from them.
Madam Chair, just a couple things that I would like to share with the committee. Mountain Metro has submitted our oil and gas funding application officially to the Clean Transit Enterprise, and they're still reviewing our application and had a couple rounds of questions and answers. So we're waiting for that final award. Then the second item is we are working with PPSC on a PPSC community town hall on Wednesday, October 22nd. This town hall is targeted for the PPSC community, really their staff, students, faculty, to give us input on the proposed mobility, future mobility hub at PPSC Rampart campus. So if we're hoping to be able to get the input and hopefully come up with early design, concept design for the proposed mobility hub. And there is a legislative update at the state level, and we really appreciate work PPACG staff, especially Jared, reaching out and informing us what's going on. There are more transit discussions at the state level. At the federal level, there is a proposed, well, not proposed, there is an interim final rule published on October 3rd regarding DBE regulations. Currently, the goal county and goal assignments are currently suspended based on this interim rule. So it does affect transit and how we proceed with DBE regulations and requirements. That's all I have.
Elaine.
Thank you.
All right, items for future tech agendas. I'm sure we're going to have some tip amendments. We'll see the safety plan again. CDOT will bring back project funding. That's sort of the big highlights, I guess, right now.
And then, yeah, I'll bring back the 5310 information too for the ranking and action approval.
Thank you. Perfect. All right. With that, I will adjourn the meeting at 2:54. Thanks, everybody.